Washington Pod presents Earl Nightingale.
It's said that one of the most serious problems affecting modern life today is a kind of chronic depression. Not an economic depression, but a psychological depression. It's said to be affecting millions, and it's believed by such outstanding researchers as Kierkegaard that despair means not being oneself. If we look for the cause of our depression, it may often lie in what we're trying to do or the way in which we're trying to do it. We're not being ourselves, doing what we should be doing, nor working toward what we should be working toward. In some ways, our society is like a crowd of people rushing toward a fire sale. It's easy to get stampeded right along with them. We can find ourselves moving along with the crowd without knowing why, and just assuming that because so many people are moving together, they must know what they're doing or where they're going. Not necessarily. Maybe we've been conned. And did you ever get a real bargain at a sale? Something genuinely worthwhile at less than its retail value, its real value? And maybe it's possible, but I never have. Usually you get what you pay for, and what looks like a bargain as often as not turns out to be a pile of junk, not worth the time, effort, or the money. I think a lot of the depression around is caused by people not being themselves, but instead trying to fit themselves into a role for which they're not really built, and which they really don't like. And the longer they stay on that treadmill, the more despondent they become, and the less purpose they can find in living and keeping up the motions. Know thyself. Never was the ancient wisdom of Socrates more important than in today's world. And to know thyself is to find thyself. And when we find ourselves and get into the role for which we're truly meant, depression, despair will vanish. Nothing can make a person sick sooner than feeling useless, unwanted, unchallenged, and unneeded, or the feeling that the values other men pursue are empty and joyless for him. Find a purpose with meaning for you, and you'll be filled with abundant, radiant health. It'll seem as though you've found the fountain of youth, the way to turn back time and live days filled with charm and interest, excitement and fulfillment. I've met many people like this, and I'm sure you have too. I remember meeting the late Mr. Letourneau, the inventor of the bulldozer and the man who built the giant earth-moving machines that everyone said couldn't be built. These people never seem to age, and their minds and interests remain as young and healthy at 80 as they were at 20. They also seem to enjoy wonderful physical and mental health, and they're seldom depressed. The distinguished researcher in this field, Dr. Sidney M. Gerard of the University of Florida, has said, in thinking about health, I like to conjure up the image of a family of germs looking for a home in which they might multiply and flourish. If I were the leader of such a family of germs and had the well-being of my family at heart, I would avoid any person like the plague so long as he was productively and enjoyably engaged in living and loving. I'd wait until he lost hope or became discouraged or became ground down by the requirements of respectable role-playing. At that precise moment, I'd invade. His body would then become as fertile a life space for my breed of germs as a well-manured flower bed is for the geranium or the weed. To become the kind of person who's too busy and interested to get sick or depressed, we need one of two things, ideally both. A fascinating role in which we can completely lose ourselves, something we can do that's so right for us we delight in it, or a powerful purpose, a real reason for getting out of bed in the morning, something toward which we're working and want very much to have or achieve. That's why people with settled purposes, people who know who they are and where they're going, actually achieve their goals. There's just no stopping such a person. He's filled with too much energy, too much drive and purpose, too much good health to stop. And alongside this person, most other people are like pallid imitations. When we find ourselves in our true place in the scheme of things, it's as though we tap some secret wellspring of energy, and we become self-actualized, as Dr. Maslow liked to put it. We simply live closer to our real potentialities, and as a result, we live more than other people. We get a lot more out of life.